Alright, so this video is going to be about installing a 240 volt circuit for the compressor that's behind me. I just did another video of installing that compressor, putting it where it is, but there's no power to it. So what I'm going to do is get in my breaker panel and install a new 30 amp single phase 240 volt circuit, so I can have that on its own dedicated circuit. So let's walk through it. I got my wire, I have the outlet, the receptacle. This is an L630, so it's 30 amp. It is the locking type plug, which I like. And I already put the plug on over here, so that's already good to go. Pretty simple, 3 wires, no big deal. This is 10-3 wire that I got at Lowe's, no big deal there. So that's already been done. I've already installed the box that I'm going to be putting the receptacle in. I have my cover plate there as well. And the other thing I did already was I did the holes for the wire to run through. So that part's already completed. Here you can see the hole. There's the other wire that I've ran down here in the basement, and that'll just follow the rest over to the panel. You can see I got the holes there in the bottom in each stud. So we come over here to the panel. I am going to come up through the bottom of the box. The top is not full, but you can see I got the studs there in a way. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to come in through this Romex connector and then up here to the bottom slot. The panel is pretty full, but I still have room. Generally, I like to keep the higher amperage breakers at the top and then work my way down to the lower. But, you know, different schools of thought on that. Some people say you're supposed to have higher amps up top, but I think I'll prescribe to the theory that it doesn't matter. I'm no electrician by any stretch, but so far everything's been working that I've been doing in here. I am not a certified electrician, but I have been taught by certified electricians. My job requires me to work in panels a little bit, so I kind of have a small, very small idea of what I'm doing. So I've wired in all this stuff. All this has been wired by me for the basement here. And I did put in this 30 amp breaker for my table saw. I ran that through here. The reason why I have the EMT connector and the conduit is because my original plan was to run this circuit for the table saw under the concrete. I was going to cut the concrete out and then run that circuit underneath, but I just have not done it yet because I don't know how much longer we're going to be in this house. So I think we're moving pretty soon. So that's why that's still there. But I need the compressor because I'm doing work on cabinets right now, and it would be nice to have the compressor to help me clean those cabinet doors up a little bit. But anyway, so this is where the breaker's going to go. I got the breaker right here, 30 amp. And I'm going to get it wired up, put it in the box, and we should be good. Very simple. What I'm going to do is kind of start in the middle of my run. I'm going to start right here. I'm going to start running my wire here and go over to the panel, and then take the wire into the panel, and then I'll come back here and then run the wire above the ceiling and then down to the electrical box. It just seems to make sense. I've ran wire like that before. It's no big deal. It works for me. You don't have to start at one end or the other. it's quite convenient here for me to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and start in the middle and run toward the box, toward the panel, and then back over to the receptacle box. So let's do it. Alright, so that should be enough to get me over to the panel and then up into the panel a little bit. So let's get her over to the panel. That 10 gauge stuff is thick, man. Stiff. And getting around this corner should be fun. Let me put you down here. Plenty to go into the panel. So we'll go back over to here and run the wire up through the ceiling and over to the compressor. So we're going to come up here behind the HVAC. I have a lot of other wires running through here as well. So we're just going to go up in this bay, follow it across, and over to where I have the hole drilled, and then down to the box. So let's see if we can get that wire. Get a ladder. Let's just pull it through this point. through there. And let's get all this. Alright, here's me hole. So, we got plenty in our box. Boom. Plenty left over. And to be honest, I thought 50 feet was going to be way too much. But looks like it was the perfect amount. I'll loosen that up a little bit right there. Oh, get my ladder back out. Okay. So, wires ran, receptacle, up, over, through the mechanical room, down, through all the studs. This is a little loose, I can pull that tighter. And then down there, through all the studs. Over to my box, to the breaker panel. So I will go ahead, get this up through here. All I'm going to do is I'll leave some slack down here for the service loop. We'll just put it right in there. Right up through the Romex. The panel is live, so I didn't strip the wires yet because of that. This is really difficult to do one-handed. So you know what? I'm going to stop. I'll bring you all back after I get this straightened out a little bit. Okay, wires tightened down. Romex connector is tight. Wires in here. There are the two wires for the breaker. And I always like to leave my wires long in the panel just in case I have to move something in the future. So I leave them long. I put little loops in it. I see in this panel that when they installed the panel, the original breakers, some of them have been installed like that, so I feel comfortable doing it in the panel as well. You can see here for the AC that they have a black and a white wire coming out of the breaker. I'm going to have the same thing for my 30 amp breaker. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I know some people say you should wrap the white with red tape. But again, my panel was installed like this. There is no red tape on that white wire. The other arc fault breakers are white and black coming out. You can see right there, those two. So I'm going to assume that here in Northern Virginia, this is acceptable. So I got my breaker right here. I am not going to put it in yet. I don't want this to be live whenever I mess around with the receptacle at the other end. So this is good for now. Nobody's down here. The wires aren't going to move. So I feel confident. However, I know there's going to be some safety sallies that say, oh, you should put wire nuts on those. So you know what, I'll go ahead and put wire nuts on it. That way everybody's happy. There, okay. So now let's go over to the receptacle and get that wired in. Okay, so receptacle is in, little baby service loop, wires ran, got the staples in. Everything is good over there. Got the wire there. Everything is through. Looks good. And now we're ready to put the breaker, or put the wires to the breaker, and we'll snap the breaker in. Alright, I know it's a little far away, but this is a tight space and I can't get you in here too close. And if I get shocked, I don't want to knock you over. Alright, white and black wires are in. Breaker is off. All right. Breaker's in. Wires. Nice and tight. The ground is that wire right there, the copper one. Mix is nice and tight. So let's flip the breaker and see what happens. Hopefully nothing. Okay, so far so good. Let's pause the video. Alright, looks good. Have to grab our power cord here. It's all twisted. Like that. Let's see what happens. Alright, so far so good. And let's see what happens when we turn it on. I should check it with a voltmeter first, but should be good. Well, that worked. I'm going to call that success. The compressor filled up the whole way and it stopped. Plug is good, wire's good, staples are in there. That was easy. I got the panel back on the box. There's the breaker. Got a little label there. I also have a panel schedule on my Google Documents where I have everything labeled of what breaker's what. And there we go. And just a word about this wire. This wire, it's 10-2, 50 feet. It was $15 cheaper buying it on Amazon than it was at the big box store. So if you want wire, check out Amazon. For $15, man, that's definitely worth it. So everything else came from a big box store, relatively cheap, not a major deal at all. I believe the wire was $38 or $40. So pretty affordable to go ahead and run that circuit. So there you go, that's it. I'm happy. Dedicated circuit, 240 volt, 30 amp, good to go.